Have
Thanks,
a lovely
Biliana.
time together. Lovely to meet you, Glenn. I'm just the administrator. The IT guy. Gemma, just text me when you finish. Have fun.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, Billy.
Have a lovely day, Glenn.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to see you. How's Gemma?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a bit tired.
Good.
I'm getting injuries. I'm in training for
yeah. I'm in the same for that, unfortunately.
yeah. I'm getting aches and hurt my arm when I was trying to get too carried away, and yeah, so struggling a little bit. I kind of sleep at night. I keep lying on my arm and it's attacking. But,
yeah.
That's what happens when you get old.
What happens now? I'm getting injured now.
Yeah.
No, it's getting better, so that's good.
Good.
So basically the reason for this is for JCF's YouTube channel. So I've taken half of that channel on to inspire the young people that visit to change their lives for the better if there's things they're not happy with, to help inspire them to make a difference to themselves. So I'm bringing on inspiring and awesome people like yourself to help me inspire them to make a change. So how would you say mental illness has affected your life? How much of your life has it taken or taken up?
I think it's something that I've lived with for a very long time, and it's an awful darkness, and it can come and go, and it can come and go, and you never quite know when it's gonna, whether you start off in a good mood or you start off in a bad mood, or it can come from anywhere. And then for some reason, and I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it, of controlling it and trying to work with it, but it's always difficult. I've just had a very good spell because I've started doing physical training again, and I've trained people. I'm an ex-fighter myself, and I've trained fighters, and that's good. I get a lot from that, but then training myself has been really, really good for me. So that's helped me a lot. But again, little disappointments. At the minute, it's a bit of I'm supposed to be organizing a fight for a sort of an oldies comeback, and at the minute it's not getting sorted. It's not done yet. So it's just starting to get frustrating, and I'm getting lots of pains in my body, and then this is not getting done, and you don't want it to get you down. You don't want it to let you down. So you're trying to stay positive, but disappointments, I'm very scared of disappointments because it's tough to handle, and I think it's tough to handle for everybody. And I've always found because I've created quite a good lifestyle for myself, commentating on boxing and training fighters and fighting myself. I've always had something to look forward to. I've always had challenges, and the pandemic, this period now has been very, very difficult for me. I hope I'm coming out of it a bit, but it's starting to get hard again. After some very good weeks, it's just the weeks are going on again, and I'm getting no news. So it's pandemic. There's nothing to look forward to. There's it's one day after another, and you're trying to you're hoping things are going to change and we're going to get out the other end. But it's difficult. How you finding the pandemic? Because you've had difficulties for a long time as well. And then how, do you find, have you found it easier in the pandemic because you can sort of hide away a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, when COVID started back in, well, a year ago, it didn't faze me. It didn't really bother me, because I am sociable, but I don't like to go out. Like if I'm invited out, I'll go, but I won't make the effort. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
But that was back when I was in a really dark place. So since then, I've got better, more positive, and everything's kind of going well. And now it's like, okay, COVID's almost a barrier now. Well, it used to be something that was my friend, and now it's a barrier. So yeah, it's been more difficult now than it was at the start of the year, at the start of COVID. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same with the injury wise. I've been injured for about 2 weeks now, and I'm just about getting back into it. But I'm the same as you. Like, I don't like to not train. I don't like to not go out, because it feels like you're failing. It feels like you're not as successful as you could be. You're not doing what you could be. But really, it's when you take that rest, it's like it's better in the long run as to getting better and not being further injured. But it's hard to keep that mindset, because I'm the same as you. I don't want to feel like I'm not doing enough. I want to be 100%. I want to be my best all the time, and that's not it's not possible for anybody. It's you're going to have setbacks. So yeah, I feel you with that.
It is a problem, isn't it? Because when things are going good and you're training well and your endorphins or whatever the chemicals are that are working, it's a great feeling. And then all of a sudden, if you're hit with a setback or an injury or anything like that, that knocks you back a little bit. And it's done that with me. I find that if I can get some good sleep, which is very hard to do, that helps me so much. I think sleep's very, very important. Exercise is very important, and also what you eat. I think it's a good diet is good diet. All that sort of things helps you physically. It also helps you. It also helps you mentally, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say to someone that's kind of in that time of maybe disappointment or time of being unmotivated, if they are physically, mentally, whatever, however they feel it? What would you say to get out of that?
Yeah, for me, I can only sort of say what it is for me. I've always tried to give myself an aim. I've always tried to have something, an occasion or an event, or whether we climb a mountain or try and do some acting, or mine are really out there, and really try and challenge myself, and that helps me. That helps me so much, because boredom is, and that's why training is good, because you get into a bit of routine. I get up in the morning, go for a run. I go in the gym and do some boxing, and having some sort of routine. When I haven't got a routine, that's when for me it's bad. It's not good, because I always find something to do, and it'll then be something negative, and and then the spiral starts the other way. So we purposely took a week off, just to sort of, because I've trained for, it's been 2 months non-stop, and I'm starting to hurt, and I've got physios working on me all the time, and it's just but the fight's not sorted out, and we haven't got a date. So so I needed to have a week off, just to try and give myself a bit of see if the injuries, if they'll start to clear up a little bit with a bit of rest. So already I'm finding my head's thumping, because I need to go out for a walk, you know, because it's I need to do something, and I think it's very important that you try and find something to do, which is so hard at the moment. You know, if anybody is stuck in the house, you know, and it's been tough because we've had a winter and, you know, not good news, and you keep if you're in the house and you're watching the TV, it's always bad news, isn't it? It's just one thing after the other, and you just think, oh. And if you take yourself away from that, you know, if you don't fill your head full of that, the world seems an okay place. I'm looking at my window, the sun's shining, everything's great. But if you go in, put the news on, oh, it's just doom and gloom. So I think it's important to avoid as much news as you can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think even just like social media and like you say, watching TV, watching the news, it can be a great place, but it can also be a very negative one.
Yeah.
So there has been a few times where I've needed to, you know, step back from it and not pay attention to it, because it feeds the negativity, it feeds your head.
Yeah, definitely. I get watching a news, and you know it's going to, you know, whatever they say, you know, you're listening for some sort of hope at the moment.
Yeah.
They don't want to give that, you know, they don't want to do that. That's not what sort of gets people enjoy watching misery for some reason. You know, that's what news is. News is when something's bad. You know, how often do you get anything good? You know, they don't do that. They don't put nice stories on, and so it's yeah. So I think it's very important for me to try and keep active, trying to keep myself entertained and stimulated in some way. And I find, you know, that at the moment is very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. So
Do you read a lot?
no, my
Pages. I should be a lot smarter with so many books.
my attention span is quite low when it comes to stuff like that. Like reading, I rarely do, and I can't watch movies either. I can't watch films because my mind just wanders. Like I'll be looking at it, but I won't actually be taking it in.
Yeah.
So no, I don't tend to. I wish I could, because
Well, some people can just watch a movie, you know, anything, you know, whether it's mind blowingly boring or whatever. Some people can just watch it. Well, I can't if a movie hasn't grabbed me in the first 10 minutes, if it hasn't sort of, you know, if I'm not sort of riveted to it, then I turn it off, which is a shame because, you know, sometimes movies start rubbish and then get better and still bring you in. But if it hasn't got me in the first 10 minutes, that's it. Eject.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'm probably the same, to be fair. I have watched a few, but like you say, they have to be gripping within the first kind of 10 minutes to half an hour. Otherwise, I'm out of it. So with kind of on the same level with mindset, in the last year, I've had a massive flip, like a massive turnaround in my mental health and my life as a whole, really. And I've always described what happened as a flick in my head, where basically I've seen something, someone said something in a certain way, where it's flicked a switch in my head, and I basically thought, right, I've got to make a change, and I've got to make it now, because if I don't, my life's going to continue to be in this negative place. So would you say that that's ever happened to you? Would you say that that was what kind of kicked the positive mindset, the mindset to keep going and
definitely
get to where you want to be?
Yeah, it's certain periods in my life, and it's normal, as I say, it's normally, you know, giving myself something to achieve, something to, you know, and that's why I've kept striving to do stuff. That helps me so much, you know, just having something to look forward to, and that's why pandemic's been so difficult, because there's nothing to look forward to, and then all of a sudden there's the idea that I might have an oldies fight, and that's really lifted my spirits, and I think the only thing that I'm worried about, I'm a little bit worried that it doesn't happen, and then you think, oh, what now? But the good thing, there's light at the end of the tunnel with the pandemic, and I mean that is the world that we've lived in. We've got through this, and so many people have got through it, and that's an achievement, isn't it? That's a big achievement. When it's been so difficult, and we've had some terrible news, and families have lost family members. It's been horrendous, and that's going on. And now when you go outside, the strange thing is, if you're out for a walk, people are dodging around you. People. Whoa. There was a lady, me and a friend were walking, and there was a couple of elderly ladies walked past us a couple of weeks ago, and she stuck her arm out and she said, "Give us room, give us." The path was about 10 feet across. We were outdoors. She said, "Give us room, give us room." It was whoa. It's crazy. It was, but that's what people are so scared. People are, I saw my mum on Mother's Day. We just went to the garden, and she said, come in, but we were so far apart, and she was so she's had 2 vaccinations. She's had both vaccinations, so she's fine. But she socially distanced. It was definitely socially distanced. We were miles away. She was, yeah. So it's lots of strange things, but we are getting through it. I'm glad that you're feeling so much better, because you can literally see that you flicked the switch. You can see that, it's almost like you turned the light on.
Yeah.
You have like a glow. You have, you can see that in your face. So that's so well done. Well, what how did you do that? How did what was the catalyst to make you flip that switch?
I think for me, I hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I hit a place where I could not get any lower than I was. So at the end of 2019, I applied for, well, I didn't apply, I finished my recruitment for the forces. I've applied before, but my mental health was so bad that I couldn't do it, basically. So I got home from a course for that, and I was having not passed it, and I was done. My mental health was at the lowest it could be, and it has ever been.
Yeah.
And for a few months after that, I let it be that way. I didn't, I sat in that mindset, and it wasn't until July last year where one day I was like, right, this needs to change. I can't, I want to get to where I want to get to. I have an end goal, and if I'm like this, I've got evidence that it's not going to happen if I stay the way I am. And I watched a video from a guy that I got shown a long time ago. Do you know David Goggins?
No.
He's an ultra marathon runner, but he's extremely motivational, and he came from a very, very hard background. And he basically trained his brain to succeed. He trained his brain to be strong. And I watched a video of his, a motivational video of his, that I'd watched before, but I didn't understand it. I watched it again, and that's what flicked it. That's what flicked something in my head that said, okay, you can change this, but you need to do this, this, and this to get there. And he basically said, just, look in the dark places, look in the darkness in your life, and change that darkness, because that's where you've got to go. If you look at the positivity, that's already positive. So you can't change anything about that. I know that's what's comfortable, but you can't change that. So the negative is what's holding you back. So you've got to look at the negative. You've got to change the negative. And as hard as that was, I knew at the end of it, I'd get to where I want to be, and I'll get to a happy place. I'll get to be the person that I want to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, from that day onwards, everything changed, which sounds crazy. You know, it sounds unreal, but that's what happened. And it is just having that drive, that motivation to work on yourself and keep fighting on, really.
Yeah, it's good. I've been having over the last few weeks some hypnotherapy sessions, which happened just by chance. The physio, he said, "Oh, Glenn, we'll help you out for this. This is great." And I've got a friend who's a hypnotherapist, so you know, do you mind having a few sessions? I've had that before, because way back 30 odd years ago, I lost 5 out of 6 fights, and there was loads going on in my life, and I was getting managed and mismatched and all the rest of it. But I lost 5 out of 6 fights, and I knew I was a better fighter than, you know, there was so much going on, so much in my private life, and so many problems, and I had to get some hypnotherapy. Then it worked, and then I never thought anything about it. When you have troubles in your life, and you have disappointment, and you have certain things going, you never think about, you know, sometimes you need, like you said, somebody showed you the way. So I'm getting a bit of hypnotherapy at the minute, and it's the best thing. It's the best thing I could get, and I yes, because he offered me it, and then because we train, you know, I'm out training my body. I'm trying to get my body stronger and fitter and better, and I'm losing weight, and I'm getting in better condition. But we stop working on the mind. We stop working. We don't do exercises for your mind. And he said to me, you've got, is it post-traumatic disorder,
PTSD.
PTSD. He says you're suffering from PTSD, and he says, well, you know, when you fought Lennox Lewis all them years ago, you know, that was a massive occasion, and you know, you got beat in front of it. And I'm like, you know, I said there was a lot more to that, because I didn't want to have that fight. And when I lost my world title, my own people, my manager and promoter, who were American, literally got me to lose. They brought the fight forward, so I couldn't, and I struggled to make the weight. And then my manager left with my money. So I didn't, you know, it was not just my title that had been taken off me, also the money. And to make matters worse, I then got a big tax bill, and I didn't have any money. And the only way, you know, I'd retired. I was sick of boxing. I was only 25 years of age. I never wanted to box again. I was disgusted with the way I'd been treated. And then I had to get the money, and the only way I could get money was to have a fight. So I called Lennox Lewis out, who was up and coming, Olympic champion, fought, you know, much bigger than me, and I called him out for a fight. And then so I had to go through with a fight. I knew I was going to get beat, and you know, my heart wasn't in it or anything. And it was, and I told him that, and he says, never, you know, you've got worse PTSD. That's terrible, and you've had that all these years, you know, and then, you know, it's stuff like that in my past that is where I get the anxiety and the depression from. So he said, we're going to remove that. So he did an exercise. He did an exercise of me starting off that night in the hotel, you know, in a reasonably safe environment, and then going through the whole night quickly in my head, you know, from getting to the arena, going in the dressing room, getting in the fight, getting beat, coming out, going to the hospital, getting back on the bus, and then having a 5-hour journey home. So we did that. And then he said, right, do it in reverse, as quick as you can, and then do it quicker, and then do it quicker. So what he did was he brought them 2 moments where I was safe together in the bit in the middle disappeared. You know, because I'd speeded it up that quick, and it disappeared. And then he said, right, you know, and I was doing all this in a cinema. There was a little cinema. I had to walk in, and I could see this picture of the fight on the screen. And he said, right, like I was there. He says, right now, who you go in the cinema, and you're there, the young Glenn. You're sitting there. You're sitting there watching this. He said, go and speak to the young Glenn. Go and sit down next to him. And I sat down next to him, and I knew exactly how disappointed, like how heartbroken that young fella was. And he said, give him a cuddle and just tell him it's okay. You're okay. And I mean, it might sound daft, I don't know, but it really felt good, because nobody had done that. Nobody had said, you know, you're okay, and you know, we know what you did. You know, we know you took the fight for, you know, just get money. Well, you've got the money. It's okay. You'll be okay. Well done. And so I did, you know, so in this scenario, I did that to myself, and it was amazing. It was amazing. I thought, wow, I've come to terms with what happened, and you know, and he's done some other interesting things. So if you can get the chance to see somebody like that, that would be very good with helping you with your recruitment, with
Yeah.
because you know, there's issues in all of our lives that, you know, we can. Somebody told me an awful long time ago. I went to see a doctor for depression many years ago, right when it was all starting with the death of my brother, and they said you've got all of this, you've got all of these things in your head, all of these files, let's say, all of these incidents and things that's happened, and deaths and grief, and nobody's shown you how to file it. Nobody's shown you how to put it away and deal with it. And then I had another 30 years where nobody told me, you know, how to deal with the next 30 years. So so I'm starting to understand myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I kind of click a self-destruct button. I've got to be really careful about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. I've seen a hypnotherapist before, but this was back when I was doing the recruitment before, and I told her I was struggling, but I didn't tell her exactly what with. I told her like the tip of the iceberg of what I was dealing with, and so she worked on the tip. She didn't work on everything that was below that.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually work necessarily. But she's actually the hypnotherapist that did that with me, showed me the guy that changed me. She showed me that video of that ultra marathon runner 2-3 years earlier.
Yeah.
And I watched it then. I didn't get it. It didn't go in. I wasn't in the right mindset until last year when I watched it again. Then I got it. So really, she did have an effect on me, but later on. But no, I'd like to do it again, because that, I don't like to call it a failure, but that bad time of recruitment in my life where I didn't pass it, I didn't get where I wanted to be, it does still, I think it's because now I know I could do it. If I went tomorrow, I'd smash it, and I know that now. But what's frustrating is that I can't go back to that. You know, knowing I can do it now is annoying when it's only a year ago. You know what I mean? That's what's frustrating, I think, for me.
So much in life is about timing, and you know, you weren't ready for it then, and you know, you needed to have that journey. You know, you needed to have that journey to find yourself, to make yourself ready. So, you know, that's not a bad thing. That, you know, you got to look at that and say that's a good thing, because you know, you've come through that, you've come through the disappointment, and you've learned from it, and now you're ready. And all the way through life, you know, it's a journey that often doesn't make sense, and then you know, as time goes on, you think, oh, you know, if I just, it's worked out now. And if I just waited, or if I hadn't rushed in, and if I hadn't have done something else, and that would, mine's normally weddings,
Yeah.
relationships. I've had a lot of pain from relationships, and I went into relationships not for the right reasons, and often if I've thought I want to get out of them or whatever, I thought, no, but I don't want to be nasty. And then in the long run, it causes so much pain and so much argument and so much, so many problems, when it wouldn't have been that bad if you just said, you know what, I don't think we're quite right for each other. But
Yeah.
so there's, we are learning, we're experiencing stuff and learning stuff all the time. And I think what I'm beginning to look at is, round the corner, you never know just how close good things are. And I think that's a lot of now. I think we're seeing a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel out of COVID, after a very, very terrible time. But everybody's scared. Everybody's so scared to even the government, they're not saying it's going to be over. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen after July 21st. The government's saying it's going to be back to normal, but what's normal now? I guarantee that people, even for the next however many years, people will wear masks voluntarily. There'll be a lot of people wear masks when, so many people say that do us no good. Some say they are good, some say they're not, and yet a lot of people are going to do that.
Yeah, I think, well, with mental health after June 21st, even if COVID is in the past to an extent, the effect it will have on mental health will be enormous. It will go on for years. It's the backlog of it is going to be massive.
Well, I had to get in touch at the beginning of the year with mental health talk and changes. I had to go to somebody and say I need some help, because I wasn't coping. I've always, like I said, I've always found a way of coping, because I've always had something to do the next day. I've always, doesn't matter how bad I'm feeling, I've got to get up and go to work and do that. And then all of a sudden I haven't. So I had to get some help. And they spoke to me a couple of times, and then it's like, as soon as I answered some questions that were positive, they were like, right, that's enough. we done with you. We've got, and it took 3 weeks for them to get in touch. It was, and I was in a really bad place, and luckily I'm I don't know if I'm strong enough, but I go through it. But a lot of people have not been that lucky, and you can tell that they're stretched. They're so stretched to the limit. But the good thing was, and I think everybody needs to know that there's no, and this was one of my big problems, was I'm a tough guy. I'm a boxer. I'm a tough guy. And you don't tell people, you're crying crying yourself to sleep and stuff like that, because you're a tough guy. And why you having all these bad feelings, and why you seeing stuff happening that hasn't happened, and you're dwelling on horrible events that haven't happened. I was getting all that, and you think, you can't say anything, but it's so important. The biggest thing I did was speak to somebody. After that, everything was good, but to get it out, to release it, to let it go, is such a big thing, because it is that it's about letting this bad feeling, let it go. And one of the things with the hypnotherapist said about these sessions, you know, when you get sessions and they just say, the hypnotherapist is great, because if I start talking, he goes, that means shut up. So that's he's told me straight away. He says, if I do that, shut up. So I started tell him something that's bothering me or something. And I was, you know, you're thinking, you know, this guy's he's annoying me. And then you realize what he was doing. And if you keep talking about it, you know, every couple of weeks you go and see a therapy session and you talk about the problems, they're still there. You keep bringing them up.
Yeah.
Bringing them up week in, week out. You keep so you're not getting rid of them. You're bringing them back. You know, people's asking you to talk about your past and talk about your problem, so you relive it again. And I did. They made a play about, and there's a film in the, you know, they wrote a script for a film about my life called Carrie and David, and the play's already gone out some different places around the country, and the film, and over the years I've told that story for the script hundreds and hundreds of times. The pain has never gone away. And now, you know, just from what he said the other day, it made me realize, because I've never let my brother rest. I've lived with it and brought it back and told the story all the time, you know, to the point now where I don't, you know, I just want to say it's over, you know. I've said enough about it. I need to leave it alone, because that now, and I understand why I've had mental health problems for 30 years, because I've been reliving that, telling that story all the time. I've never let it go.
Yeah.
So I never let some things go.
Yeah. I mean, what you said about, you know, help being the best thing you've ever done, I think for me it's the same way. Before July, before the day where things change, I got help from I actually went to a private psychologist. I was that desperate, because like you say, the NHS ones are a little bit slow with that. So I got it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But prior to that, for the 10 years that I suffered, I thought I was, you know, the worst person on the planet. I thought my problems were huge. I thought, you know, I was sin, basically. And it wasn't until I spoke to someone where I was like, okay, my problems aren't actually as big as I thought they were, and they're not as bad as I thought they were. What I'm feeling is okay, and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna change. And I think that's what I needed to hear for all of those years prior to that. But I would never talk about it. I was, you know, I kept it in, and anytime everyone else knew, because they could see it without me telling them, but and they would ask, but I would go on the defense. I'd be like, I don't want to talk about it, you know, go away. I don't want to, I'm not going to speak about this with you. And I never did. And it took 10 years to get to that point. But it wasn't until I hit that low point where I actually decided, okay, yeah, I need to talk about this, because if I don't, it's going to continue to get worse. So, but yeah, getting help was one of the best things, but it's one of the hardest things to do as well, to ask. And
often it's not as easy as you think, and I think one of the important things is, you know, it can be very disappointing if you make that big decision, and then, you know, the phone rings out, or you've got to leave a message or something like that, and you think, you know, it's such a huge thing, and you know, I think in that situation you've just got to carry on. You've got to ring again, ring again until they listen, because, you know, in life, you know, things aren't just that easy, you know, to get a hold of people, but you've got to make sure you do. And it took me 3 weeks, and I was my the amount, you know, I'd pick the phone up and I got an answer machine, left a message, nobody got me back, and then it was, right, nobody cares, and just makes, you know, you just think nobody cares. Why should I care? Why should I care? Because nobody cares. So, you know, but then when you do get through, you realize that, you know, people are there and people do care and people do want to help, and that, you know, that's the big step, you know.
Yeah. Do you think did you have anyone that kind of got you to that point of needing help, or do you think you got yourself there?
No, it was just myself, because, you know, I lived, you know, the split up from my partner beginning of last year, just before the pandemic. So then it was sort of on your own for big periods, which was probably better than us being stuck in the house during the pandemic. I think she'd have probably killed me.
Yeah.
It was probably better, but you know, but that, you know, it was, you know, no, work has always been so important to me, and there's been no work, there's been, you know, nothing, and that's, you know, work for so many people is life. You know, that's you know, that's their self-worth, that's who they are, that's, you know, that's what they do. You know, people introduce themselves and, you know, they say what job they do. You know, hello, I'm a joiner. You know, and that's what people do, because it's so important. So when that's gone, that's so it's really important. It's important to try and find stuff to do, and that's, you know, that's always not that easy. I've got a load of books here, and the only one I'm reading at the minute, the Bible, which I thought I had to get at one time. But, you know, there's loads of sports books, and I have read a lot of them. But during the pandemic, you know, I think with the best will, you think, when it first started, I thought, I'm going to learn a language. I'm going to, and then you don't do it. You start to wallow in a bit of self-pity, don't you? You start to wallow in, like, oh, another day, another misery. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, life is not easy. That is for sure. Nobody said it was going to be easy, and it isn't. But there's some wonderful times to be had, and, you know, unfortunately there's some bad times to be had. And I remember a long time ago I got some medication for depression, and it just made me numb. It just made, and you know, maybe they've got better stuff. This was a long time ago, and I was just numb. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel deeply depressed. I didn't feel happy either, and I kind of felt nothing. So I couldn't take them. I thought, you know, if I'm going to have the bad times, at least I'm going to have the good times. You know, I'm gonna have them both. And you know, so that's why I never took antidepressants, just because I you know, I think you know, I think they might have helped during the pandemic though, but I haven't took them, and I'm quite happy, because I've had some great times that I wouldn't. Had some, like, amazing highs. I've had some pretty dreadful lows, but I think you've got to kind of, if you're going to put yourself out there for amazing events, you've got to expect that there will be some. And if you want to have a nice if you don't want to have much drama in your life, just have a nice steady life. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's our choice, James, isn't it? We it's very complicated because sometimes your mind doesn't feel like it's your own. It feels like it's something that's working against you or something that's you. And to try and get it and say, you're doing what I'm telling you you're doing, and we're going to be happy, and we're going to smile, and we're going to be okay, and we're going to get out, we're going to go for a walk, we're going to exercise, and we're going to be pleasant to people. That comes from us. We make that choice. If we want to be miserable, it's not because somebody's making us miserable, it's because we want to be miserable.
Yeah.
If we want to be happy and spread a little happiness, then it's us that decide, do you want to be a happy person or a sad person? It's our choice.
Yeah. I was the same with medication. I was on it for, I want to say probably about just under 6 months. It did the same for me. I felt nothing. And it's okay if you don't feel the negative, but you want to feel the positive. And I was exactly the same. And I had to come off it. For the military, I have to come off it. So I did. I halved it for about a week, and then I came off it. And prior to that, everyone was like, that's mad. Like, you're going to make yourself worse. Things are going to get worse. You're going to feel bad. It's not going to work. Why don't you just wait? All of these things. And it's like, obviously, obviously, I'm not telling everyone just come off and, cold turkey. But, I knew that I was better off them than I was on them. I used them as a crutch, essentially, for that time. But I knew I was in a good enough place where I could cope with coming off them. And I had all these people telling me not to do it, but I knew I could, which is the difference. And I've been off them since, but I think it's difficult to go from that mindset of, okay, I'm miserable, to saying, okay, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change that mindset of, no, I'm going to be positive. You have to. It's fighting your mind. It's fighting yourself, which is the hardest thing.
It is, isn't it? I mean, which sounds bizarre when you think it's the hardest thing to operate our own minds.
Yeah.
But, and I think that's where somebody like a hypnotherapist, it's worth speaking to people like that. It's worth looking at your, the books, your Tim Robbins and the guys like that do that. It's good to have a look and a read about that sort of stuff to find out, because there's techniques. Techniques to happiness. There's techniques to emotions. There's techniques, that can help you in your daily life by doing certain things in certain ways. I know if I'm having a good day, my bed's done. The first thing I do when I
I'm the same.
Well, you better get used to that, because that's the first thing you do. But that mindset come up, and I heard that from someone in the forces. The first thing they do is make their bed, and that's almost getting your life into control straight away.
It's an accomplishment straight off the bat. Yeah.
Straight away you are but you're also putting your life into some formation. You're putting yourself, you've got a tidy bed, and then you can go back from there. And I know if my bed is not tidy, then I'm not in a good place. If when I'm good and feeling good, I'm walking around constantly with a little brush and sweeping things up and doing whatever dish. If there's one dish goes in the sink, that's done. And if I'm not, the dishes are piling up, and the house is done, and your hair's not combed and stuff like that. And so the simple things are very important. Just getting some order in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's a thing I never used to do, because I used to think, well, how is that going to help something as big as, well, as big as I thought it was. How is that going to help something as big as mental illness? How is that going to help something as big as what I'm dealing with? And it's like, it does sound stupid when you think about it, but if you get up and do that immediately, it's an accomplishment before you even leave your bedroom. It's before you even leave your bed, and it's like, that's the first thing in your day. That's good. You've accomplished something already, and then you can keep building on that to accomplish bigger things.
You will like it. You will suit it. It'll be very good for you as well, because I feel that you need that sort of order in your life.
Yeah.
And it will be. I know lots of servicemen. I train the Royal Marine boxing team, and once a year they get me down, for a week of training the guys. So I know. I mean, I've even been on a 50th birthday in. That's how I started my year last year in Berlin. Oh, that is absolutely. You need trained for them weekends, for them.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that. I was not ready. They are a breed unto themselves, but some things you just, I wasn't prepared for, but they're completely bad.
Yeah.
But that's all part of. I mean, we went to Berlin, and we were in an Irish bar for the whole weekend. We went to one other place, and that was where the war sort of ended, and the Checkpoint Charlie and all that sort of stuff. We were there, and that's all I can remember of the whole 3 days, other than an Irish pub. It was just I'm not ready. I will not be another one until I've had military training.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, for me, is I always compare it to my sister. My sister is the complete opposite. But I have to know what's going to happen in a day. I have to know when it's going to happen in the day. I have to know, I just have to have structure. Because if I don't, I can't function without structure. So on a daily basis, my day is exactly the same. I do the same thing every single day in the same order, because I can't, if something's different, it bothers me. And I feel like my day is losing structure, losing, routine. And yeah, that's part of the military that I like, because it is so regimented.
Very much so. Enjoy it. Yeah, that'd be really good. And what are you going in? What are you enlisting into?
It'll be the army, but I haven't 100% decided what I want to do. I think me and Jackson said before, I looked into the medical side of it. But I've also looked into other things. So I'm not 100%, but I've got until kind of September time to decide that. So, but fitness wise, because that's kind of the decider as to what you do. Because different things have different run times and all different things. So my run times are good. My run times are, where I'd want them to be, where I have a good variety of stuff that I could do. Yeah. So yeah, it all depends really. I'm not 100%, but it will be the army if possible. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So fingers crossed. But things are looking good. So
fine. The main thing is just be positive. Just be positive. Just attack it. And you'll be great. They want to see that sort of positive energy. And
yeah.
So you'll be fine.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for taking time to do this.
It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. It's been lovely to talk to you. I'm glad things are going okay, and hopefully I've got my fight sorted out, and I'll be feeling a bit better than I am today. Just, well, I'm off this week just to try and get it. I'm sure I'm sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Keep waking up in pain.
Yeah.
Off, painkillers for bed every night. Physio 3 days a week. So anyhow, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. I've been off this last week. Today's my last day of the week off. Because I had a leg injury. And yeah, I hate it. To be honest, I hate not doing anything because I just feel, I don't know, lazy, I guess, or like you're not putting enough in. But
oh, I know.
Nah, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get back.
Very good, very good. Well, lovely to talk to you, and good luck.
You too.
Keep me posted with everything, and
yeah.
When Jackie finally gets back from wherever she's from, she's not back from Colombia yet, is she?
No, I think, to be honest, I don't know when she's back. I think she's back soon, but yeah, not quite.
I think she's back as soon as she can get a flight out of there.
Yeah.
How bad must that be?
I think she said she has to pay a lot of money to get out of at the moment.
Just
yeah.
It's a wonderful place. I've been to Colombia many times. It's a fabulous place, which you wouldn't think so, but because it had all that bad past, all the tales of kidnapping, Pablo Escobar, and all this sort of stuff, which happened
It's got a bad rep.
It's got a very bad rep, and you know what, they keep I've been there many times, never been any, and Jackie will tell you, I've never felt as safe anywhere. It is one great place. And it's probably the last place in the world that's still the same. It hasn't changed. It hasn't got the easy jets and the riot airs and football shirts and all that. And it's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. And it's because that stigma, and I don't know if they even try and keep it there, but it's that stigma. But they got rid of, they got rid of the drug cartels. A long time ago, they had a war against them all, and yet I still see whenever they mention these travel programs, they always have this big thing about the cartels, and and I've never come across anything like that ever, and you just wonder, are they just trying to scare people off for some reason? Is there some sort of government thing that they've got something against Colombia? I don't know. It's a wonderful place, though.
Yeah.
Oh, for the days when we can go back on holiday.
Yeah, it'd be good days.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, then I will speak to you soon. Keep in touch.
Will do. Thank you very much for this.
Take care. My pleasure.
You too.
God bless.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.